Hello everyone, welcome back to Pension Y. Have you noticed that some questions on the age pension claim form look incredibly simple? Just a tick box, nothing complicated. But sometimes those simple questions are the ones that matter the most. One example is question 48 on the SA002 form, where Centrelink asks about your homeowner status. At first glance, it might seem like a routine question. But in reality, this single answer plays a very important role in determining how Centrelink calculates your age pension under the asset test. So in this video, we're going to explore why Centrelink needs to know whether you are a homeowner or not, and how that connects with your marital status and the asset limits used to assess your pension. Before we go further, let's pause for a moment and look at something important. On the screen now is the asset limits table from page 49 of the A Guide to Australian Government Payments. You'll notice the table is separated into two main groups. The first group is for homeowners. The second group is for non-homeowners. Then within each of those groups, the table is divided again into three categories: single, couple combined, illness separated. Each of these categories has its own numbers showing the asset-free area and the asset limits used when calculating pension eligibility. So before Centrelink can apply the correct numbers from this table, they first need to know two things: your relationship status and your homeowner status. That is exactly why question 48 appears in the form. Many people assume the age pension is calculated only by looking at how much money or assets they have. Centrelink recognizes that someone who owns their home and someone who does not own their home face very different living costs. Because of this, the asset limits for non-homeowners are higher. This is intended to reflect the fact that people who do not own a home usually have ongoing housing expenses such as rent or site fees. So when you answer question 48, Centrelink uses that information to determine which set of asset limits should apply to your situation. Let's start with the most straightforward situation. If you own the home that you live in, Centrelink will generally treat you as a homeowner. It does not matter whether the mortgage has been fully paid off or whether you are still making repayments. As long as the property is your principal place of residence, it is normally considered your home. However, because homeowners already have housing security, the asset limits applied to homeowners are lower than the limits used for non-homeowners. Now let's look at another common situation: renting. If you rent your home from a private landlord, Centrelink will normally classify you as a non-homeowner. In order to confirm this, they usually ask for documents such as a lease agreement. This allows them to verify your rent payments and confirm your housing arrangement. Once this information is verified, two things may happen. First, you will be assessed under the non-homeowner asset limits, which are generally higher. Second, depending on your circumstances, you may also qualify for rent assistance. Rent assistance is an additional payment that helps people who receive certain Centrelink payments and pay private rent. Another situation that often raises questions involves caravans or mobile homes. The classification depends largely on the land the home sits on. If someone owns both the caravan or mobile home and the land where it is located, Centrelink generally considers that person to be a homeowner. However, if a person owns the caravan but does not own the land, and instead pays site fees, the situation changes slightly. In many of these cases, Centrelink may still treat the person as a homeowner, but they may also be eligible for rent assistance to help with the site fees. This type of living arrangement is fairly common among people who travel regularly or stay in long-term caravan parks. There is one more housing arrangement that deserves special attention, and that is retirement villages. Retirement village agreements can vary widely. Some involve entry contributions, while others involve lease arrangements. Because of these variations, determining homeowner status in retirement villages can become quite complex. Rather than rushing through it here, we will cover retirement village arrangements in a separate video dedicated entirely to that topic. So the next time you see question 48 on the age pension claim form, remember that it is not just a routine question. Centrelink needs that information so they can select the correct asset limits table when assessing your pension. Your homeowner status, combined with your marital status, helps determine which set of rules applies to your situation. If you found this explanation helpful, please don't forget to check the next video. And if there is another question from the pension forms that you would like explained, you are welcome to leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay empowered, and I will see you in the next video.